What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, Reckless Rexx Ruger, watching my back as always. And it looks like he's back there sleeping one off again. But I digress. The show must go on. That's the Freddie Mercury puppet. We're back with another incredible episode. It's what we do, kids, and we ain't about to change it now. Before we get to it, I'll address the proverbial elephant in the room. You, of course, are looking at these smoldering good looks, these luscious blonde rock star locks. And how could you not be? You're only human. I will confirm for you that indeed you are looking at the one and only that we know of, love child of one Diamond David Lee Roth. And again, these days, I don't know if that's worth bragging about, given the way Dave is out there repping himself. But listen, I still love him. That's Pops. So put some respect on that man's name. And now we can actually get down to brass tacks, which, as I said, is another incredible episode. Super happy to have today's guest in here. Before he gets in here, let me give you the 411 on how to get tapped in with us, because as you know, if you have a podcast, you have to pimp it. So I'm going to give you my obligatory promotional spiel. The pimp hand is feeling strong. I'm going to give this a shot. Make sure to tap in to Pod Scum on Facebook. Our handle is, of course, Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Both of my shows, one Facebook page. Tap in with us there. Same with Instagram, Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Same handle. I've dumbed it down for you. I've dumbed it down for me. And of course, if you're watching right now, this is where you really need to be. Those are great promotional tools, and I want you guys to tap in with us there. Lots of great surprises and cool shit on both of those platforms. But if you want to watch and listen to the entire conversation, this is where you need to be. Tapped into our YouTube channel. If you're here right now, please like, please subscribe, and most importantly, find that notification bell up there and smash it, as all the kids say nowadays. That sounds awfully destructive. Don't destroy your device. Just find the notification bell and activate it in some way, shape, or form so you can stay in the loop and when new content drops. My guest is here. We're going to get into it right now. I'm excited. You're excited. Let's go. Hi, Mike.
Hey, man. How's it going, dude?
Good. Practice, huh? I tore you away from practice, or practice is already in the books?
Well, I just twice a day before tour. I'm right now getting ready for the EXHUMED tour. So I live in Ohio.
Like an athlete. You're training.
Basically, yeah, man.
Yeah. Is that how you approach it? Is that the mindset that a musician that's going out to play extreme metal should be approaching it?
Yeah, for drummers, I mean, it's exercise, and it's also muscle memory and just trying to keep your body in shape to do the work that has to be done for the song. And as you get older, it gets a little tougher, so you got to spend a little more time.
Yeah, you're telling me. And I'm glad you brought that up, like right off the rip. Because my day job is in healthcare. I work as a nurse, so this is a question that I usually like to ask of people that play extreme metal, but especially drummers, because I've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of them. Have you experienced any type of injuries over the years? Like, I've had guys on here that have had to change the height of their stool or the layout of their kit, things with the shoulders, things with the back, things of this nature. Have you experienced any of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, over time, your body changes. It, back in when you first start, you set up your kit. If it's a big death metal kit, it's huge. It's spread out.
Right.
As you get older, you realize that, you need to bring things in a little closer, a little tighter, so you can achieve the same thing without hurting your limbs, your joints especially.
Yeah.
Because I try to keep everything within, like, you can't really see, but about 2 feet to the left, 2 feet to the right max.
Yeah.
And that way everything in the height, just a little bit above the tom. So everything's within this circle so that your body can go around the kit, and you're not like, so many drummers I hear they blow their rotator cuffs out from keeping their ride too far back. But yeah, I mean, over time, you refine your kit to where you make your work easier to achieve what you're trying to accomplish in the song,
Yeah.
So
I would love to go through life and just have everything within 2 feet.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be nice. I try to keep that way, like in my bedroom too. Nightstand close. Anything I'm going to need close.
Yeah. Well, digitally, that's the cloud for your phone, right? But as far as physical things. But yeah, over time, I mean, so yeah, it gets harder on your body because it's the repetition is just, as a drummer, you're playing, depending on your rehearsal regiment. Like if you're playing 4 or 5 times a day, you think about all those hours on your joints, on your limbs, on your back. If your posture is wrong, you could take a toll down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, I don't know if you follow the drumming community, but a lot of these younger guys are really starting to refine the way they sit, how much energy they use. Instead of using their full body, they're refining, just refining all their movements down to like a simple controlled movements. Like a lot of the drummers now, they're using their fingers as
Yeah.
opposed to old school drummers like Lombardo, and
Yep.
those guys just come down with their full body hammer, and over time it wears on your body. But yeah, I mean, you got to take it. You look at yourself as like an athlete, and so the better you treat your body, the more longevity you'll have, and that
It's
comes with.
probably it's probably good these guys tapping into that, at a younger age too, because it'll pay dividends for them when they are 15, 20 years into their career.
Right. Well, I mean, I think a big thing right within the last, I'd say, 10 years is there's a lot of drummers using double strokes, push pull on the hands.
Yep.
And a lot of guys are doing double strokes on the feet, and there's like this battle between old school and new school. Like the old school guys are like, oh, it's just not, you're not getting the power, but you're achieving the notes.
Right.
And then, the new school guys are like, you old guys are blowing your shoulders out and your, and your knees out because,
Right.
so we're at a kind of juxtaposition where it's like, it's good where drumming is going because I think it's better to just like refine the movements to, for longevity of your body and your limbs and
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah. And so what was your upbringing like? If I could backpedal for a little bit, because usually when I talk to musical artists on here, a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of them have that same backstory where they get into the arts because maybe they grew up in a home where that environment was kind of fostered. Records playing, maybe musically proficient parents. Was this the case for you?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was a drummer before me. Everybody on my dad's side was a musician. My uncle played guitar. My grandfather played bass. My grandfather was the guy that got everybody into music. He came from Alabama. He played bluegrass and anything with strings. So he played mandolin, banjo, and at my grandfather's place, there was always gear set up because they played, like in a family band. They do covers. My dad was the drummer of that band, and they would, it was encouraged for the kids to get up and pick an instrument and start playing. So yeah, music was always around. My family played music, and it was encouraged. And my dad, the heavy music came from my dad. He listened to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and
Okay.
the typical upbringing of like a '60s,
Yep.
parent. So.
Yep. And was it always going to be drums for you? Because obviously sometimes like when you're young, now it sounds like drumming was obviously, a family tradition with your father doing it, but sometimes it isn't always what kids gravitate to because they want to be out front or they want to be the shredder. Did you instantly gravitate to the drums because of that?
I don't think it just kind of came naturally because I tried playing guitar. Didn't really appeal to me, like the just the structure of it, like learning all the, I just didn't have the coordination to play guitar like I wanted to. Drums just came natural. And then, I just focused more of my energy on that instead of, I could play bass a little bit, but I never got into theory, never got into like, the structure of the guitar and how to play the guitar. But I have a good ear and I can write riffs, but I just can't play fluidly and proficiently on guitar. So.
Now you mentioned you guys are about to start, EXHUMED that is about to start a tour. At this stage of your career, what's your relationship like with touring? Because I do hear a common story here where, people obviously love to travel. There's a glamorous side to getting to see different places. But there is a point in time when you're a certain amount of weeks into a tour where it might get a little tedious. You start missing the creature comforts of home. And you want it to be over, I guess, for lack of a better term. What's your relationship like with touring?
I'm all for it. That's all I've ever dreamed of doing, and I'm doing it, at the level that I want to be doing it. I also do drum teching, which I'm pretty fortunate I got into that. But yeah, the travel first and foremost is like the intriguing part of it. Like, you're a young musician, you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go on tour. I get to travel the world, and it's basically kind of paid for. You just got to perform and you make your money and go from there. It does get harder over the years, especially as you get older. The van tours, there's, it's pretty brutal if you're going out with crew. So usually if you have a band of, 4 to 5 people and you get 3 crew, the space starts getting really limited in those 15 passenger vans.
Yeah, yeah.
And depending on the budget, of the band, what kind of level you're at, like if you're not at the point where you can afford to get a bandwagon or a bus, then, that's what you're forced to do. So you just kind of make the best of it. And luckily for us, we're able to, be at a place where we do van tours with EXHUMED, but we can also get hotel rooms. So there's
Right.
that break. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we've made a pact with ourselves to like not book shows on Monday, just have a rest day, for the week.
Yeah.
But, back in the day when you're 20, 25, you're just out there grinding it, 7 shows a week,
Yeah.
drinking,
Yeah.
partying, like,
Yep. Yeah.
and as you get older, you got to just like pick your poisons.
And so, for fans that might not know the backstory, though, you also, from 1999 to 2016, were in Deeds of Flesh, left for a short time, and then in 2021 to currently, you're still in Deeds of Flesh. Do I have that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yeah. So that was,
What was the impetus? What was the impetus for the hiatus when you left in 2016?
well, for most of the part, it was after we did, let's see, I think Crown of Souls. That was like the last record that we actually toured on. And
Okay.
that was me, Jacoby, and Eric. And that was around 2008. So we hadn't done any shows since then. And so Eric was operating and running and owned Uniquely to Records. And so that was his focal point because that's, running a business. It's kind of hard to, juggle being in a band, touring, and running a record label.
Yeah.
So he kind of mentioned to me, like, hey, from this point on, we're just kind of going to be a studio band. And at that time, I think around 2011, Matt Harvey moved to the Central Coast. And that kind of just fell in my lap, to be honest, because his brother lived there, his dad lived there. We're talking San Luis Obispo area. And so he was at a point in his life where he was coming back after a relationship and just getting his stuff situated again. But he had a record recorded, All Guts, No Glory, with Danny Walker on drums, but he didn't have a touring drummer. So that's kind of where I got back into touring. But, and so, yeah, I was kind of doing double duty for the longest time. And then after Deeds of Flesh put out Portals to Canaan, there was really no talks of touring. So funny thing is, like, Portals to Canaan and Necrocracy both were recorded the same year. So I was still with both bands at that time. But I was just more focused on touring with EXHUMED, which I told
Right.
Eric, like, hey man, I love touring, I love getting out there. And he's like, yeah, dude, by all means, I don't want to hold you back. Get out there and tour. So I've been with EXHUMED since 2011, and I only did a hiatus for the Nucleus record with Deeds. And
Okay.
there was a lot of talk keeping Darren in the lineup for shows, and I felt he put so much work into that record that it would be cool. And then after discussing with the band, Ivan, Craig, and Jacoby, they were like, well, it's great that he came in and filled in for that one record, but we feel you're the drummer of Deeds of Flesh, so you should play the live shows. And so, it was kind of sucky to give Darren that news that, I'm
Right.
back in the band, but he understood it. He took it with grace, and it was fine. It all worked out. It was the best for the fans, to be honest, because I've been the longest running drummer for Deeds, so it just made sense. So
Right. Right. And so now with EXHUMED just about ready to put out a new album here, February 20th. What's the creative process like when EXHUMED gets together? Very collaborative?
Yeah, it is collaborative to a certain level. Well, Matt's he's such a workhorse when it comes to music. He's always creating, always writing. He's got 5 projects, 6 projects at any given time.
Yeah.
He'll just kind of like, as he's getting ideas, he'll just put them down. He records through Guitar Pro, which is kind of
Okay.
like a creative program that he can write songs, so he can actually like work on things and then be like, get to a point where like, okay, jump off of that project, work on this project. So Matt writes a majority of the music. I would say 99%, well, 95%. And then Sebastian will write 1 or 2 songs for a record. And then I think Ross, he contributes quite a bit as well, but it's mostly Matt. And then when it comes to the recording process, Matt's like, these are just like basic drum tracks that he puts in the program, or he'll build songs, and he'll give me the creative freedom to do if I want to change anything or add my flavor to it, make it more human, so it doesn't sound like a digital drums.
Right.
But it's pretty collaborative. I mean, in that respect. But Matt does write a majority of the music, and so.
And you guys sit around as a band, because I've asked other artists this too. Nowadays, when I see albums reviewed, and this probably speaks to where we are in terms of how we're consuming music and people's attention spans nowadays, but I do see a sticking point now in reviews where the length of the album and how many songs is suddenly something that's being critiqued now. Do you guys sit around and talk about how many songs should be on the album, how many minutes it should come in at?
No, I don't think so. I think the last record that we did, we were in a situation where everybody had such busy touring schedules. We recorded as many songs as we could in like a week and a half. Well, the drums for me. So we did like 18 songs. And so we kind of just from those 18 songs kind of pick the songs that fit the vibe of an album. You know what I mean? And so, and then with the leftover songs, during the tours, we'll put out an EP, and then we'll do like a split with another band. So it's, we always have songs kind of like, in the pocket to bring out for things that
Right.
I live in Cleveland. Our guitar player lives in Baltimore. One guitar player lives in Oakland. And the other guy lives in San Luis Obispo. So when we get together for a recording, we try to get as much stuff recorded as possible, because it's not always easy and cost effective to get everybody in the same room to record. So we take advantage of that time.
And so you guys don't just have the mindset of it's always got to be an LP. You guys are open to EPs and releasing music in other formats.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The history of EXHUMED's always been like that. They've always did like a demo, and then like a split with another band, and then like a full record, and then then all the demo stuff from the years past makes it on an album. It's like constantly putting out content and music. So
what about your own listening trends? Like when you're around the house listening to music, because you've been doing this for a long time, do you tend to fall back on stuff that you grew up with or that you're familiar with, or are you able to find new music and new bands that excite you?
Yeah, both. I mean, I have, everybody has their comforts, their albums that they just like spin when they're just chilling or cleaning the house or making food or whatever. But and that's usually all the stuff that you grow up listening to. But yeah, I'm very, very aware of like a lot of the new bands. I follow, like Spotify playlists. They have like a release radar. So all the bands that I follow, if there's anything new coming out from them, but there's a lot of music coming out, man. It's getting, I don't know if lack of a better term, saturated, but it's not like it's a bunch of shitty music coming out, because everybody's getting privy to recording themselves, and there's decades of music to pull from for inspiration for, like new band. Like I don't even know to this day how to start from scratch. And if you're to create a new band from scratch, like what the hell would you play?
Where do you start? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where do you start? So that's the crazy thing. But I'm always got my ear to the new releases coming out and new bands coming out. And EXHUMED's one of those groups that, it's kind of like, what you're going to get with them as far as sound wise, from album to album. We're in a position now where I guess we consider ourselves like a legacy band, but we're taking out younger bands, up and coming bands. And so that's one of the things that, Matt kind of really focuses on, and we kind of pride ourselves on, is we like to take younger bands out to give them the opportunity to get, exposure, off of the labors that, we put in for the last 30 years.
Great. Yeah. Now, I did just see you shared that EXHUMED just put out a, I hate to use the word video. It seemed like more like a visualizer, right? Is that the proper term nowadays? Because it was obviously animated, typical EXHUMED, very gruesome, brutal. But what was that project like? And who do we give credit for that?
That's a project that was spearheaded by Matt Ross and Phil Hall from Municipal Waste and Morbicon.
Okay.
He was also in Iron Reagan, but it's just as far as I think budgetary reasons, it's very expensive to film a video these days. You got to get the studio with the high, camera and a crew, and it's like if you don't have the budget from your record label, or if the band can't afford something of that level, it makes sense just to like do a cartoon or just do something like that to give the fans a visual, piece of art that comes with the song. So
yeah. Now, when this album comes out, and are you a big one for I mentioned album reviews earlier, but obviously people will go on and comment on songs on YouTube or the video or whatever. Are you a big one for looking at feedback, criticism, what people are saying when a project comes out?
I typically don't, to be honest, because it's
That's
like,
probably that's probably healthy.
yeah, it's healthy. I mean, the thing is, you're not going to ever make anybody happy.
Yeah,
And you don't write music I mean, you do write music to gain listeners and fans, but first and foremost, you write music for yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Because of your love of the art and your love of music, and so you write it for yourself. And if people like it, that's great. If they don't, that's the nature of the business. It's like not everybody's gonna like everything you do, and you just have to, like, you can't take that personal. And I mean, if you want to use that as fuel, to write more aggressive songs or play faster or whatever it is that you're being critiqued on, if that's the fuel that tries to make you a better player, it just depends on what kind of person you are. But for me, I don't feed into it. I've been doing this such a long time. It's like, once you hit record and you get the song done, you get it recorded and you listen back to it when the album's done and you're happy with it and the rest of the guys in your group are happy with it. I think that's all that matters at the end of the day.
yeah. And if you read into that, fans, go ahead and sling your arrows. The music will just be more heavy and more fucking brutal. They're gonna take it out on you guys, on your ears.
Yeah,
Son. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It can get more brutal, kids.
yeah.
It always
There's
can.
yeah, there's in a world full of critics. Just sometimes just really listen to what's going on and just appreciate it for what it is, not for what it's not.
Right,
And
exactly.
people do that with movies too. It's like, oh, went to this movie and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it totally sucks. It's like, well, if you go into it with no preconceived notion of what you're going to watch, just watch the film for what it is
Right.
and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Don't read too much into it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You kind of just let art wash over you a little bit, and then you take
exactly.
away from it. And so when you're growing up and you're getting into drums, obviously, you mentioned that your father was a drummer, but were there guys in bands, well-known bands that you were looking at as kind of like, for lack of a better term, an idol or a drumming influence, or like, did you have those guys that you kind of like looked up to?
Yeah, for sure. Like my guys were like Dave Lombardo and like Pete Sandoval and Gene Hoglan. Like first started off, you listen to whatever your parents will listen to. So it's like the Black Sabbath era and Led Zeppelin, and started getting into that. But I'm like, you always delve into like what's heavier than this. So
Right.
I was pretty fortunate. I grew up in the Bay Area where there was a thriving metal scene, plenty of venues for metal tours to come through. So anytime any thrash metal, death metal band came through, they always played the Bay Area. So we're pretty spoiled, almost like
Yeah.
LA. They get every tour because it's considered like an A market. So
Right. Right.
just me and high school friends would go to every show we could. We started off with our Bay Area heroes in like Exodus and Testament and Violence and Sadist and bands like that. And then those bands would also share a bill with like Sepultura or like Napalm Death or Cannibal Corpse when they came through. So yeah, we got exposed to all that. So, but for me, like my guys were Pete Sandoval for as far as like the speed and precision, Dave Lombardo for like the flavor, and then like Gene Hoglan for like the power. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
and then my first guy was Tom Hunting from Exodus. That was
I love them. Yeah.
Once you hear Tom's drumming, it's just like it pretty much throws your brain because it's not very typical, but it's aggressive. So
Yeah.
and we all grew up on that, the Ultimate Revenge VHS with Slayer, Venom, and Exodus. So that right there is like the Bible,
Yeah. I do that at work a lot too, man. I make these pop culture references, and I forget that I work around like a lot of younger people who probably wouldn't know what the hell a VHS is.
Yeah,
I find myself doing that a lot now, being like the elder statesman at work, and like there's a couple of people in my age bracket who will be like, "Wow, when you say something like that, you're really showing your age." Letting people know.
Yeah, well, like that VHS was like the holy grail because for years you if you didn't go to shows, you were a kid, you just listened to tapes, and you'd have to kind of decipher in your mind like what is actually happening. You'd have to visualize what the drummer or what the guitar player were doing until you go to your first show. But if you weren't able to go, that VHS tape was like, okay, here's the visual to what they're doing, and just like it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
Now I am not a musician, but for the people out there, who are the gearheads, is there a specific brand of drums that you play or that you endorse, or like, maybe you could tell people how you achieve the sound that you achieve?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I think it's just a player preference, really. It's just what your ear wants to hear.
Mhm.
I started off my first kit was a Rogers. Then I got a Pearl, and then after that, I got a sonar, and those are because over time my ear just wants to hear a different sound coming from the drums.
Yeah.
And so yeah, currently I'm a Pearl endorser, but I don't have a Pearl drum set. I have a Sonar S class.
Okay. Okay.
Big power toms, maple,
Hmm.
beautiful sounding kit. But I think it's just, you know, it's also budgetary reasons. Once you start getting into the higher end kits, you're talking 5 to 10 grand for a nice kit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, you can make any kit sound pretty decent as long as it's constructed well. But I mean, I would just say start off with an entry level kit. If you're not serious about the drums, you just want to kind of start. But once you start actually getting serious, you're like, yeah, this is my instrument. And if you have the money, like definitely step up and buy a quality drum set so
Yeah.
your ear hears what what
It's an investment. It's an investment. My son
it
started in
is.
school. My son started in school and didn't get past the little hockey puck. So I mean, you don't want to
Yeah,
go run. You don't want to run out, as a lot of kids do. A lot of kids don't stay within
yeah,
20, and
right.
so yeah, he came home with that, and I was like, "This is going to progressively get louder." I just have a feeling, and it didn't.
Yeah,
Because, you lose interest, and yeah, I can't fault him for it. He wanted to take a stab at it, but.
yeah, yeah. But no,
Which I
I
don't
mean,
think a lot of parents are probably so stoked when their kid wants to come home and play the drums of all instruments. But I fully supportive. Whatever you
yeah.
want to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a nephew that's in baseball right now, and he's 12, and we were at the batting cages the other day, and we're just looking at all these batting bags just hanging up on the fence, and there's like, there's probably 25 kids there, and there's easily 40 grand worth of batting,
Oh
gear,
yeah,
because a
yeah,
baseball bat's like 400 or 500 bucks nowadays. It's
yeah. Gloves,
insane.
all of it. It's expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's like you pick your poison. It's either music or sports. It's going to
yeah,
be expensive no matter what. You just gotta,
yeah, yeah. How
invest in
early
a.
on did you know? How early on did you know that music was going to be the path you were going to take? Was there anything else on your radar?
Not necessarily. I mean, I had the idea that I thought I wanted to be a chef, work in
Yeah,
the culinary arts. I always enjoyed cooking, but it wasn't like I started kind of late as well. I didn't actually take it serious till about 12 years old, 13. So,
yeah, yeah,
and then once I, got bit by the metal, like Metallica and all that, that was like my first introduction to like, okay, this is
yeah.
the sound that I want to head towards. I think it was actually Ride the Lightning, that record, to be honest. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And it wasn't until high school where I met some like-minded individuals that were also playing music, heavy music. We all had the same influences. Started jamming with them, and that's when I took it way more serious to the next level. Like really focused on, playing super tight and clean and fast. So that was probably about 16.
So we're going to blame all this chaos on Metallica. We're going to put all the blame on them.
No, I mean, not
Most
really.
of it.
I would say that was kind of one of. I mean, everybody has that one band. I know Metallica is so typical, but at that time when Ride the Lightning came out, I'm like,
Huge.
13 years old.
Yeah,
So
huge.
it was like the
Yeah.
biggest thing, So,
Are you able to
but
put a finger? Are you able to put a finger on it as a drummer yourself? I just like to get your take on this because, and listen, I love Metallica, man. They're part of the soundtrack to my life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah,
I had this discussion with somebody the other day, and I'm just like, when I was a kid, I probably did more partying with Metallica playing in the background than any other
yeah.
band, probably. But are you able to put a finger on why Lars's drumming takes such a beating?
Um, I don't know.
People love to take shots at the poor guy.
They do. I don't know. To me personally, I've never had a problem with it. I mean, a lot of people say, he's a simple drummer. He's like landed the luckiest gig, in metal.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he wasn't really the most talented or the most, like Gene Hoglan and Tom Hunting and Dave Lombardo. Those are the guys that are in his era, and see what they're doing compared to what
right,
he's doing.
right.
Um, you know, and like Gar Samuelson from Megadeth, stuff like that. Those
Yeah,
bands had like insane drummers for that time period, and I don't understand the criticism. I just probably maybe because he just wasn't up to that level, and that was the pinnacle of
yeah.
drumming for that time period.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I'm
it's
guessing maybe it's that he's not up to this. Maybe, as you said, not up to par with those guys, and yet still has made countless amounts of money and been wildly successful despite that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it to be honest, it's probably a testament to playing for the song as
Yeah.
opposed to just trying to overplay and like do too
Yeah.
much. He just did what the song needed, and just like kept it, the time signatures, messed around with a little bit. He got some, some ideas, and some of the songs were like, you typically wouldn't do that. Like, oh, that's different. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think more of his powerhouse was just having a knowledge of the music and the scene and being ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was the
Yeah.
guy. He's the guy that told everybody what to listen to back in the day.
Very
So
influential. Yeah.
yeah. So I
Very
think
influential.
yeah. So with the trade off of like his ability to be at the same level as those drummers of his era, he was a leading guy and like trying to push the scene forward and trying to always build the
But,
metal scene.
and I
So.
think in his defense, he's not anywhere ever claiming that he's the greatest drummer.
No, not at all. No, I don't think he's ever, tried to do that to my knowledge, but he knows where, I mean, if it wasn't for him though, like he was one of the guys first, like fighting the digital music where
Yeah.
he saw like Napster, he saw
Yep.
this being a huge problem. It's like, you know, so for that, like, yeah, of course he's a leader in pushing metal forward and like trying to do what's right for the artists and
Yeah.
just trying to, you rip a movie off, dude, you're going to jail. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's okay
Yeah.
to steal somebody's album.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And plus,
So,
I think Lars was really a genius with the marketing too. I mean, he really pushed and propelled
right.
Metallica. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where the rest of those guys were very quiet. It's widely publicized that James, was very quiet early on. All the
Sure.
stage banter was like Dave Mustaine in the early days.
Yeah.
They're on record as saying that. I think all of them were pretty quiet. Lars was kind of the mouthpiece for the band too.
Totally. And that's the reason, yeah. And that's, so I mean, that band honestly wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for him. And if, there was talks in the past about getting rid of him, imagine if they got somebody like Lombardo or somebody like, Gene
Yeah.
Hoglan, it wouldn't be the same band. And they would
Right.
their career wouldn't have gone where it is today. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I think all the other guys have said too, man, he might not be the best drummer, but he's the best drummer for Metallica.
yep, totally.
He is.
He's the second best drummer in Metallica.
Yeah.
They say James Hetfield's a better drummer than him.
and so are you the type of guy? Because I think you brought this up earlier about Matt Harvey, how he's in multiple projects, and I'm amazed by these guys. I've had a bunch of them on my podcast, 4 or 5 different projects. I applaud the energy and the ambition and how they can find this much time. Is that how you like to work? I mean, or is EXHUMED your main focus?
Right now, EXHUMED's my main focus. I mean, if you follow my history, I've always been, I come from the old school. You stay in a band,
Yeah.
Until you're, the time for you to exit is there, or if you're just not, in a creative environment with the guys you're jamming with. But with like, for Vile, well, it was the first band I was in. I just got the opportunity to join Deeds, so I still, love that band so much, and would have been with that same band had I not got the opportunity with Deeds. And then I was in Deeds for 20 years, and the reason why that came to a halt was because Eric didn't want to tour.
Right.
Jacoby was a family man and started his own business, so he was doing, real life, real adult stuff.
Right.
And Eric didn't want to tour. He had the record label, and so EXHUMED was kind of there. And I got into EXHUMED because Matt is like a Lars, dude. He's like totally pushing the scene. He's always doing something musically, and not just that, but he's a huge guy into comics and movies and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
but for me, I've always just been in one band at a time. There's a lot of guys out there that are hired guns, studio guys that, that's what they want to do. Me, I like to play live and tour and write and record records, and I'm old school. I like to be in one band at a time. The hired gun thing to me just doesn't feel natural because it doesn't feel creative. And I'm more about the brotherhood of being in a band and,
Yeah, the loyalty of it all, the one for all, wall for one type of. Yeah, I
totally.
love that.
Let's do this till till we can no longer do it, or nobody likes it anymore.
Yeah. And now you mentioned earlier, man, that people pretty much know like what they're going to get within the EXHUMED album. So Red Asphalt is the new album that will drop February 20th. So what can fans expect? Obviously, they know they're going to get brutal, gory, fucking hammered upside their head, bludgeoned with fucking old school death metal.
Yeah, totally. No, it's it follows in suit with everything that Exhumed has done. But we always like to kind of, change it a little bit. For this album, the concept is red asphalt. As you know, growing up, you had in driver's ed, there was that red asphalt video that
Yep.
they showed you to scare the shit out of you and
Yep.
be a focused driver.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the concept of this one. And all the songs are kind of based on, being in a touring band. It's the crazy shit, the dangers, and all the things that, all the hours that we drive just to get from show to show. It's kind of based on that, just the dangers of being out there on the road, period, and
Yeah.
traveling and being in a rock band, traveling and getting from show to show without any incident. You've heard all the stories of bands wrecking
Sure.
on tour, like all that shit. So there's a lot of that in there. And then, we always sprinkle just other songs of just different titles, or different subjects, but it's mostly based on that kind of theme.
And now, forgive me for not having this in front of me, but before this, when was the last Exhumed album?
The last one was To the Dead.
And what year was that?
Oh boy. To be honest, I don't remember. It was like three years ago. We would typically like to put a record out every 2 to 3 years.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. I didn't know if it had been an exorbitant amount of time, between this release and the last one, or if it was close to like a typical album cycle of that 3 or 4 year.
Yeah, it's typically for us. I mean, Matt, he's pretty proficient. He likes to get albums out every 2 years. So every 2 to 2.5 years ago is when To the Dead came out. But we put out like EPs in between. So again, like I said, we always have so much material recorded. Matt can just throw something out there, but he's primarily been focused with Left to Die and Gruesome. So Exhumed's kind of like, as far as the touring, we've been kind of on a hiatus. We haven't done a lot. We didn't do much last year. The year before, we only did a couple tours. So
yeah, he's busy with the Gruesome stuff, and I actually just had Gus from Gruesome on the other day.
Yeah.
I love the Gruesome. I love the Gruesome stuff. I love seeing anything where they're paying homage to death. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
It really is.
No, it's good because, I mean, they're one of the bands that are doing it as a tribute. It's totally different from what Death to All is obviously members from the band. So, kids get a chance to see the lineup that played with Chuck with Death to All. But what they get with Gruesome is they get a band that's like, it's a death tribute band. All those guys in that band love death, and that was a huge influence on them. And Matt and those guys, they do it, and Gus, they do it just right. It sounds perfect. And it gives the kids a little something different than death to listen to, but it's death inspired. So,
and what goes on now? I know talking to you, texting you before we did this, you were talking about the tour starting relatively soon, right? What can you tell people about the tour? Exhumed is going out very soon here, right?
February 19th. We got dates posted up on all our social media. We'll have the new records available. We have like pre-ordered. Matt's advertising on Darker Corner. That's his website, Darker Corners. We're gearing up. Everybody's like, it's weird because like we don't live in the same place. Like I said, where everybody's just like, woodshedding at home, and then I'll get out there on the 15th and we'll rehearse for 4 days and then get everything packed up and start hitting shows. Starts on the West Coast, works to the East Coast and back. So,
and is there ever a day? Is there ever a day when you just look at the drums and say, "Not today"?
No, not necessarily. No.
So you get behind the kit just about every day.
Yeah, my kid looks at me. He's like, "What's up, dude? Are you gonna what the fuck?
You gonna be on me for a while or what?"
Yeah, exactly. So get over here. But no, I mean, I probably rehearse 4 days a week now. Just when I'm not doing anything. But when I'm actually, for an hour here, 2 hours there. But when we have a tour coming up, it's every day for about 2 to 3 hours a day. So.
And so, what is the routine like? Like when you do rehearse at home, like what do? You treat it like you're going through the set list? Like will you play like the entire or something similar to what you would do in the live setting?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with this record, like I tracked the drums in February of last year. So a lot of the, a year's passed since we played this stuff. So I'm basically just going over the new material because the older material we played so much, it's second nature.
Right.
Just going through the new material. We're playing 6 new songs on this tour. So, and just going through song by song and just making sure that, I'm playing them correct and up to speed. And then once I go through the new songs, then I'll come back, take a break, come back, and then play the full set in its entirety, like I'm running through a show.
And so I would be remiss if I didn't ask, man, like, what can you tell us about the status of Deeds of Flesh? You mentioned being a studio band. Is it likely we'll ever see them in a live setting and or get new music from Deeds of Flesh?
Yeah, after 2020, we came out with Nucleus. That was
Yep.
more like a tribute album, because it was that album didn't have vocals or lyrics written to it, and Eric's passed before he got a chance to do that. So
Yep.
we came together, put that out. There was offers to do festivals, so we did Hellfest, Maryland Death Fest, and we played Milwaukee Metal Fest. So as of now, those are the only 3 fests that we've played. We get offers all the time, but it's a matter of everybody's schedule.
Right.
Everybody's pretty busy. Jacoby has a family and his business. Ivan has family and business. And so does Craig. No family, but just, he's got a business. So for me, I'm like, it's just up to kind of them if they have the opportunity to do it. And it's got to be something that's kind of worth our while, because those guys, they're walking away from serious life money to come play a festival.
So, you gotta sweeten the pot to pry those guys away. Sure.
No, and it's not just about the money, but it's also about their availability.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense to do it. And then as far as new music, yeah, there's stuff that Eric wrote that he's left that behind. Jacoby's got material. Craig and Ivan all have material. But again, we all live, separate places. So we can write online, and that's the beauty of me having an electronic kit and having being able to record stuff. And so we haven't worked on anything as of yet, but there's a bunch of ideas floating around, and there's probably about 3 or 4 songs. We're kind of out of a road, like a crossroad. We don't know if we want to continue in the way that Deeds sounds now currently, or if we want to kind of go old school, go back to like the Path of the Weakening kind of sound.
Yeah.
There's talks on that. So we don't know where to take it. It also feels very weird to do it without Eric, because he was the nucleus of that whole outfit. So we don't know. We're entertaining the idea.
So it's basically a never say never thing right now.
No, never say never. We'll write some stuff, we'll record some stuff, we'll listen to it, and we'll be like, well, is it doing the band more good than it is harm?
Right.
And if so, then it feels like, if the fans will like it, maybe we'll put a song out and be like, tell us what you think, and this will be a situation where we actually care about what the fans,
test the waters a little. Sure.
Test the waters, because there's so many different eras of Deeds of Flesh. We could go anywhere. We could go Trading Pieces, we could go Path of the Weakening, we can go into the last record that we did. So who knows?
Right. So before I let you out of here, where's the best place to tap in with the band and get all the 411 on what's going on with EXHUMED? Do you guys have a website? Is Instagram?
You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. And all the links will be on there. You just EXHUMED official.
Okay.
I can give you the actual addresses.
I'll put them all up. I'll put them all up.
But
every time I put the new episodes up, I always advertise them on my Facebook page, and I always attach all the links to all the pertinent ones. I don't even know why I even ask anymore at the end of the episodes. Everyone knows how to work their fucking internet now. You know what I mean? Listen, people. Me and Mike aren't going to hold your hand. Just go do the research. Let your fingers do the walking. Isn't that what you used to say with the yellow pages? Right? Just start typing in EXHUMED, and you'll come across something. Jesus Christ!
You don't need a phone book. You don't need any. You don't need any dimes and nickels anymore.
Hell, I don't even know if you even have to use your fingers anymore. You just tell Siri to look it up for you.
I know, it's getting crazy.
It's crazy. The technology is getting smarter than we are. Voivod warned us about this a long time ago on several albums. They did. Technology was going to start getting smarter than us, and maybe we'd be the slaves.
Totally.
Now look at it. Our cars are smarter. Our phones are smarter. Nobody has to read a book anymore to find anything out. You grab your device and just say, give me the answer to this.
Well, if you're always looking down at your phone, you're not paying attention to what's going on around the world. You're gonna miss out.
That's true. Yeah. Open your eyes, smell the roses. That's right. That's good advice right there. It is. Listen, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. Really, it was a pleasure, man, and really fun talking to you. Stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
We'll do this again for sure. You were a great guest. Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Certainly. Best of luck with the album. Best of luck with the tour, man. Safe travels.
Yeah. Thank you. Hope to see you out there on the show. Let me know.
Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, I'll be there, brother. Thank you.
Cool, brother.
All right. Good talking to you, Mike. Thanks.
All right.
Later. There he goes, folks. Mike Hamilton, drummer for EXHUMED and Deeds of Flesh. We're not sure status-wise what we'll get from Deeds of Flesh in the future. As you heard, fingers crossed, if you're a Deeds of Flesh fan, one of the great brutal death metal bands in the history of the genre, and EXHUMED is as well. Good news is EXHUMED has a new album about to drop February 20th, Red Asphalt. There's a great visualizer, really cool visualizer out right now on YouTube, an animated visualizer that is just really a neat way to promote the album. And as you heard Mike say, they're going to be starting a tour here in the next, 10 days or so, within the next 10 days, 2 weeks. I don't know. Listen, as me and Mike said, we're not going to fucking hold your hand. Go on the internet and fucking look, and you find out the dates. Listen, your boy Rexx can't do everything for you. God's sakes. But listen, good news is EXHUMED dropping a new one February 20th. As I said, Red Asphalt. Get to all their social media sites. Find out the 411 on where they're going to be playing. If they're coming to a town near you, get the fuck out to a show. This is where I'll get on my soapbox about telling you guys to be a good fan and go out and support these guys. They're grinding. They're hustling in vans, in tour buses, whatever. Bringing the death metal, the heavy to these fucking little clubs in these arenas, wherever they're playing, theaters, whatever they're doing out there, man. They're out there bringing you the music, and they're not always traveling in the most comfortable of situations. And they're doing it for the love. They're doing it for the passion. So get out to a show, cop yourself some merchandise, buy this new album if you're into the physical product, go to the website, sign up for a newsletter, get on a mailing list, be a good fan and support this genre that we all love so much. And that's me now getting off my soapbox. Be a good fan. That's all. And make sure to be a good fan of PodScum. And you can do that by going to our Facebook page, tap it in with us. Again, it's Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. I got the pugilism show. I got the music, rock, arts, entertainment show. You can check them both out on that Facebook. Same with Instagram. Same handle, Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. And of course, tap in with us here on our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell to stay tapped in. Thank you to all the supporters out there, the viewers, the subscribers, the guests. I love each and every one of you. The channel is growing leaps and bounds, and I appreciate all the love and all the support. And I want to especially thank today's guest, Mike Hamilton of EXHUMED and Deeds of Flesh. I'm going to throw it in there, man. Right now, EXHUMED is his main focus, and he said never say never about new stuff from Deeds of Flesh. But right now, EXHUMED is his main gig, and they got a new album, as I said, Red Asphalt, dropping February 20th. Go out and cop that, and be on the lookout. The boys are about to hit the road, so get your ass out to a show. And this is your boy, Reckless Rexx, reminding you to take it easy and keep it sleazy.